Is it acceptable to nest parentheses? Is it acceptable to nest parentheses, for example, if I, meaning myself, write like this?
It is acceptable, but you should use it with care. Generally, you should avoid having long text in parentheses, as the reader will eventually forget that he is inside a parentheses block. In serious papers and letters, you should avoid it completely, and rather find a way of rephrase it. In conversational emails, blog posts, Stack Exchange posts, etc., it might be more natural to use it, but the inner parenthesis should never be long, just a couple of words. The most important is to make sure that the reader don't get confused of where the parentheses start and end. Example: with nested parentheses. This is a quick example on how to rephrase a potential problematic use of nested parenthesis. It can be a less important section like this, which is quite long, even if it is not important, and when you continue, the reader might be lost in where in the parenthesized text he is, and might wonder if he still is inside any parentheses. Anyway, the main text continues here. Rephrase to remove nesting. This is a quick example on how to rephrase a potential problematic use of nested parenthesis. It can be a less important section like this. It is quite long, even if it is not important. Now when you continue, the reader is not lost anymore because the long section is taken out in a separate paragraph, and no inner parentheses can be mistaken for an early termination of the outer section. Anyway, the main text continues here.
I believe it's acceptable, but vaguely considered poor form, and I tend to avoid it, often by restructuring a sentence and busting out some em-dashes, unless I'm intentionally using it to be cute.
Well, I do it, but then I spend a lot of time as a mathematician. If it gets confusing, I think using alternative bracket glyphs assists, greater than. Though using the guillemets, as brackets can get you into trouble, as a lot of languages use them as speech marks. Wikipedia.
My English composition professor told us that if you ever feel you need to use nested parentheses, that is one sure sign you need to rewrite the sentence instead. Here's what one technical editor has to say on the topic. Nesting parentheses should be done with square brackets, but since square brackets are usually used for citations, this is confusing. The answer is to eliminate all nested parentheses by appropriate rewording. Dashes, otherwise not recommended, can have a use here.
I have found that people who appreciate stressing thoroughly the logical construction of their sentences to make them totally unambiguous tend to use parentheses a lot, and to nest them, even though, see other answers, it's considered poor form. In particular, scientists, especially mathematicians and logicians, seem to do that more commonly than other people.